Well, hello and welcome back to a brand new Master English Conversation Masterclass video lesson.
Excellent.
I know this is always such like an interesting thing just to say the name of the program to people because they're like, wow, that's kind of long, man.
Well, can you say it again? It's a really cool name.
So he and I, why don't you introduce yourself and I'll tell you a little bit about it.
Hey guys, I'm Sean Daly. I'm a Nagasaki ALT. I've been living up here for about 2 years now.
You better explain what an ALT is.
ALT is an assisted language teacher, so I help Japanese teachers with their English lessons.
So he's doing that. So anyway, Master English Conversation, so that's what we're doing right now. I met Sean yesterday. And
indeed.
Look at that. Look how quickly I wrangled him. I got him to help me out over here to be in a conversation. He's a fantastic guy. He's a really nice person, and I'm happy to have him with me to join me for this. So basically what we're doing now, we're just talking to people. Just talking like we normally would because, as you know, the kind of stuff that's in regular conversation lessons or the things that you would teach in school is like,
is not how we talk.
Yeah, it's not. And I thought this was a really interesting conversation. So today I wanted to ask him about one of his passions, which is doing voiceover work. And so this is a really great thing, not only for training for you as you're learning to become a better speaker and pronounce things properly, but you can really have fun. Can you do different voices?
I can do different
voices. Oh, really? That's awesome. All right, we're gonna get into that. Well, why don't we get started then? You can tell me all about like how you got into that in the first place and why you decided to start doing voiceovers and
Well, first let me explain what voiceovers are.
Sure,
for
go
them.
ahead.
So, and this is good for you guys because there are many English speakers who don't know what voiceover is either. So what a voice actor, what a narrator does is they provide just their voice to something. It could be a cartoon, an animation.
Sure.
So that's the voice acting aspect. Anytime you hear someone's voice on a commercial, but you don't see that person, that is a voiceover.
Okay.
So we have cartoons, we have commercials, we have audiobooks, which are really popular now.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Because it's so easy to just download them onto your iPod or your iPhone and then listen when you have the time.
Sure.
Way more convenient than old cassette tapes and 12 things in one box for like a 2
I remember that,
yeah.
The 12 CD pack.
Exactly. And so we have animation, we have commercials, we have audiobooks, we have e-learning, which is becoming more popular now. So like online courses or things that you or just education that you get online.
Sure.
So whether you're trying to like employees trying to learn how to use a new product at their work or some kind of corporate industrial video that everyone has to watch to get used to some new protocols and stuff like that.
Sure.
And so we have that. We also have something that's called IVR, or Interactive Voice Response.
Even just you saying interactive voice response. I really like the way that sounds.
But yeah, so IVR, it's also called telephony. Like telephony. But and that's just that whenever you pick up the phone and you just hear a recorded voice. So like the number you have reached is not available. If you would like to talk to our director, please press 1.
How do you get to be that guy? Like, what, do you have to know somebody? Is that guy paid a lot of money like to do?
I would say a lot of money, and that's a big misconception about about this business, because everyone's like, oh, I got a good voice, I can do millions of voices, or like millions of the same voices that everyone can do.
Sure.
Like, and they're like, oh, like, how do I get an agent? How do I get on Family Guy or The Simpsons or whatever show is popular, Naruto or anything like that.
Sure.
And like, when do I start making the big bucks? And it doesn't work that way.
It's probably like anything else, I imagine. Is it pretty competitive?
Oh God, yes.
Oh, really?
And it's just because we have maybe, like, say, if you want to be in animation, if you want to be in cartoons and stuff, you got to be in LA or New York.
Oh, really?
And like that's just because that's where all the big agencies are. That's where all the trusted studios are.
You need to get out of Nagasaki then.
Well, yeah, maybe at some point. But I wouldn't mind doing some Japanese animation first.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
How's your Japanese, by the way?
Not good enough.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll worry about that later.
But that's the thing, and it's like going back to the competitive, or the competitive aspect.
Sure.
It's it's just you have about 24 really talented people
Uh-huh.
who are so talented. Like, it's not that the people who hire are unwilling to accept new talent, but it's just like
people stick with what works or something.
Exactly,
or?
they know. They're familiar with them. They trust that they're going to be be there and be a pleasure to work with and do the job.
Yeah,
and they don't need any hand holding.
Sure.
So like, why take a risk when you got a sure thing right there?
Yeah.
So
I guess that's like most things. You know, people are kind of nervous about like wasting money on somebody else and not sure if they can do the job properly or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Are there kind of like leagues for that though? Like, I mean, in sports you got like high school and like semi-pro or whatever. Like, are there
sort of like
regional,
educational tracks?
Well, like some kind of like, I don't know, like regional TV spots or something that like it's not, you know, such like a competitive thing. You can build up like a portfolio of work and then you can use that to springboard to, you know.
Exactly. And it's just like, because the worlds of animation and commercial or narration voice acting are very separate and require different skill sets.
Sure.
But there are many people who do like little bits and pieces of every one. Like, for example, Billy West, who's one of my favorite voice actors.
And this is awesome. Like, I don't know anybody like the only guy I know is the movie guy who died.
Don LaFontaine.
Yes. this guy is awesome. I'll have to I'll put some links to some of his videos
in a world.
I
can't do that, but it's just like
this is the guy. He did he invent that, or he was the first to really like use that? I don't know.
Well, I mean, he had the pipes. He was talented enough, and he just he did kind of make that style.
Yeah.
Like, there was really he just kind of changed the way we do movie trailers.
Yeah. So this is a special like a movie trailer guy, and it might depend on what country you're living in. So, you know, each country has, like in Japan, you wouldn't probably hear his name or hear his voice for watching a movie trailer, but he has this catchphrase called, it's like in a world, like in a world where like men wear dresses, like one man,
one desire.
Yes, and there's a great. Have you seen that YouTube?
Pablo Francisco.
There's a couple. There's the Pablo Francisco, like the comedian one, but there's another there's an actual. It's a YouTube video with maybe like 5 or 6 of the most talented, biggest name voiceover guys. I'll put a link to that in the transcript for this video. But anyway, continue. I'm sorry I keep interrupting. It's such an exciting thing.
We were talking about this is organic conversation,
and that's how it works. You know, we go off on tangents. We get a little distracted. I get you distracted.
It's okay. I'm easily distracted, but shiny red thing.
I know.
But yeah, so Billy West is one of my favorite ones, just because he's so. A pretty popular show in America is Futurama. It's by the same guy who does The Simpsons, and Billy West does no less than 6 characters on this show. Like, he's the main character, Fry. He's kind of like your average, like, 25-year-old guy, kind of whiny, you know what I mean? And like, and then he plays his own, like, this old mad scientist who's kind of like, every time I do him, I think I sound too British, but he's very, like, he's whoa, oh my, kind of thing. And
look at that, that's awesome.
But yeah, he does a lot, and the reason I brought up the commercial thing is that he was the honeybee from the Honey Nut Cheerios.
Oh, I remember when I was younger. They don't have the bee around. Like, what happened? Like, I don't even see Honey Nut Cheerios.
They changed a lot of those things. Like, well, when a product's out long enough, it kind of sells itself.
Sure.
So, like, maybe they're like, we don't need to spend millions of dollars on marketing anymore.
Or maybe they don't use real honey anymore.
I know, those just nut Cheerios.
Just O's, like little wheat O's.
And then, but another one, he was the red M&M.
Oh, really?
For ages.
Oh, yeah.
And
I noticed that, like, you're probably like very sensitive to that because you're kind of in the know about, you know, voice acting and stuff. But like, I remember a lot of the. We're about. Like, how old are you?
I'm 27.
27, so I'm 33, and we probably watched like fairly similar, you know, cartoons growing up. You saw like Thundercats.
Oh, hell yes.
Voltron.
Defender of the universe.
Yeah. Like, so all and like Silverhawks, and like there's a lot of the same actors that would do
exactly, and it's
the voices
like
for those shows.
And when you're younger, And this took a long time to realize. Like, you're like, this guy sounds familiar, but the idea that it's the same person,
like it could be him,
or even like that certain characters, like, because I think you asked me ages ago, like, when did I get interested in this and stuff like that.
Yeah.
When I was as early as I can remember, like maybe 5 or 6, like I've loved cartoons, and I'm like, and I didn't pick up. Like, first, I just wanted to live in a cartoon. And then when they found out you couldn't do that,
live in a cartoon.
Then I was like, oh, how would I work to be a part of a cartoon and stuff like that. And the first voice I ever remember doing was when I was 5. It was Donald Duck.
Really?
Yeah. And it's just like, I don't even know how we found out. Like, maybe my brother and I were just watching Donald Duck one day, and we're like, we can do that. And we just started going,
wow, that's amazing. Like, I've tried to do that before. Like, I really like mimicking sounds and voices in different accents, but Donald Duck has always been a difficult one.
I know. The hardest part is, like, anyone, well, not...
That's actually, like, really, really good. Like, I've heard lots of people, like, it's almost the kind of test. I wonder if that, like, if you want to get a job, they're like, do Donald.
Do Donald.
Like,
well, I mean,
do Donald
for Disney,
like,
I mean, and the difficult thing with Donald is that, like, if you really go back, he only's got a few catchphrases.
Sure.
Where he never really says much.
Yeah.
But, and, like, I don't know, because it's really hard to articulate.
Sure.
Like,
sure.
I can say...
That's amazing! Oh, like, my goodness. You know? Wow.
And, but, I mean...
Can you do Goofy?
Goofy? Well, gosh. And that kind of thing. But it's, like, he's hard to talk for a long period.
He doesn't really say much either. He's just like,
that was a good one.
That's just, like, all he does. Like,
and, or something wrong here.
Yeah.
And then I do Mickey a lot for my students.
Oh,
because
really?
Of that. And that was someone I never even thought of. Like, never really thought that I could do.
Yeah.
Until, like, a few years ago, I was working for an English camp, and I was like, they only know Disney characters, so like, why not try?
Sure.
And, but then, so eventually I was like, Mickey Dial? Oh, boy, I'm so glad to be here with you today.
Wow.
That kind of thing. And
no, that's really cool, though. I mean, even to be able to do different voices like that. Now, while we're still on the subject of doing these different voices, especially for people that even just want to learn how to have more fun while they're, moving from like an accent of a particular language to try to be more like English. How do you go from like hearing a new sound or a new character to, like, I mean, do you try to visualize it first and then you practice, or like how do you do that so it's more kind of fun and you can get into that more?
When it was in its purest form, like when it was a child, like, because you were talking about when, like, how, like, having an ear for it and stuff like that.
Sure.
And like most creative things, it's a combination of talent and skill.
Sure.
So, like, talent, you're born with talent.
Okay.
Like, you have to develop skill.
Okay. Yeah,
so so I noticed I had an inkling for voices doing Donald Duck, and like, but when I was young, oh god, and this is one of the, like, I was a lazy kid and I would watch cartoons all the time, hardly went outside, but I would watch the same thing over and over and over again. So I practically had this stuff memorized.
Okay, so you're learning the material over and over again, and then do you notice a progression in the way your ability to make those sounds improves?
Yeah, and like, once, not only, like, I don't have the time to watch the same thing over and over again like I used to.
Sure.
But I will repeat things, and like, and this is great in my family because my brothers, we all watch the same things, and we call it meta quotation. Like, we do it all the time, and like, whenever you're too lazy to think of a new phrase, you're just like, you just use a quote that applies to a situation.
Sure, like a reference. And this is one of the things actually I teach in the program. So people, like, a lot of English conversation is more than just the actual words of the language, where we're pulling things from cultural references that kind of put us in the same club or the same age group or whatever, so we understand things that we're talking about. But
and so repetition, that's what I was trying to get to, is repetition of input and output.
Okay.
So, like, find something you like, or it's like when you're trying to learn a song.
Yeah.
Like, either where you're trying to sing it or you're trying to play it on guitar. You listen to it, like, you listen to it again and again, and if you're playing guitar, you're like, burn, oh, that's wrong. You start over and you go, and you keep doing it, note by note.
Yep.
Until you get it, until you got the whole thing.
And I think that's the sticking point for a lot of people. So language learners or, voiceover acting or anything you're trying to do like that. I think like a lot of people, well, I guess I can ask you now, which do you think is more important, that kind of innate talent or the skill that you build and like the
definitely
repetition?
The skill.
So you can have a little bit of maybe not be born with it, as they say.
I would say,
but you could really like work on a skill and really be able to perfect it. And
passion and the skill is more important than the talent.
Sure.
And the only caveat that I have for that, and it's a big word, that just means a rule for that.
Not at all. I always go back and there'll be subtitles and I explain words and things like that.
But yeah, the one caveat is that sounds like a nice wine.
It does.
Is that what was I going to say? Is that you might not, or you have to be flexible. You might not, because when I first got into this, or like when I started doing a lot more research and trying to and figuring out the ins and outs and like the plausibility of it all, like depending on where you're at, depending on what your budget is, depending on what you can do, you might have to be patient and you might have to accept that the original goal might not be where this path takes you.
Sure.
So like I would love to someday be in animation, but if I have to go through the more straight stuff first, like the non-character based stuff, like commercials, audiobooks. Although there's plenty of opportunities for doing characters in audiobooks. It could be like fiction. Like you can play. I'm just hearing about. I haven't heard him personally, but there's an American voice talent named Jim Dale who does all of the characters for the American-made Harry Potter audiobooks. And that's like easily dozens of characters, like 40, 50 characters.
Wait, he does all of those different...
all of
like
them.
While he's speaking or whatever, doing the audio
He's doing the narration, and he's doing all of the... it's like a radio play.
Oh!
And, and they don't always do that. They don't always have one person.
Sure.
Like, sometimes they'll have... sometimes they'll have it more like a play where they'll insert different people into different points. And we'll have to get back to audiobooks because there's an opportunity for them to get involved later if they're interested. Yeah.
Well.
And so Jim Dale, and he's an example of a talent who does his research because apparently he can like mimic the dialect to the county of like some of these where these British people are coming from.
Now, why? This is kind of a separate question that you probably don't know the answer to, but why would they bother using an American when they could just find?
I don't know. And I was talking with my girlfriend who is from the UK, and she said they use a British talent for those books.
Sure.
So, but I mean that's could be more cost effective if Jim obviously had the chops. So they can use him.
I guess if you're the man, then
right.
Like nobody's complaining, I guess. So.
And so it's just if anyone's interested, they just have to do their homework. And Japan's a great place for potential voice actors because they actually have schools for it over here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like
and that's not in the States, or
but they do but it's more within like larger theater schools. It's not like they necessarily have individual schools for voice acting, like not like big educational institutions like a college or something like that, but they have those over here. I've heard of them in Tokyo and Osaka, and maybe one in Kyushu as well.
And this is something foreigners could do as well, or
if they have N2 or N1 Japanese levels.
So it's not so much for doing English voiceover work; it's doing Japanese cartoons or like television shows or whatever.
And that was something that I wanted to touch on earlier about the differences between American and say Japanese or Asian voice acting work is that in America you could be just a voice actor, and even if you are a voice actor, you might work in other fields. Like you might say I might do cartoons, video games, and commercials, or video games, audiobooks, commercials, and documentaries, or like telephony. Audiobooks and like there's any combination of those, but usually I wouldn't do much else outside that realm. But in Japan, it's you're sort of like how they kind of package their media pop stars like that. Like usually, like someone might get started out as a musician, but they're like, "Oh, you're so popular. Have you considered being a voice actor?"
The crossover or whatever.
Yeah. There's a lot of crossover going on. Like a lot of the talent are voice actors, musicians. And all that.
Yeah, like, a lot of multi-talented people out here.
Well, they're not always talented, but they're given that chance.
They've got the opportunity.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, like, I mean, if you prove yourself talented in one other, they might give you that opportunity.
Sure.
So, if you're interested, try it. Do your homework. Figure it, like, you know.
But even if people aren't necessarily interested in becoming, voice actors or whatever, it's like, again, this idea of the people that succeed at something are the ones that, like you say, do your homework. They actually take the time to practice and go over things and really get down to the nitty gritty of going over things. And I'm sure the first time you tried Donald Duck, it sounded more like a
it sounded like a chicken.
Yeah, you couldn't do it properly, But
that took practice, there was a long period when I didn't do it, but then I spent like a whole summer with Japanese kids, like doing it on the daily, and my students tell me to ask me to do these all the time.
Yeah.
And
I'm sure that feeds like the passion when other people are asking to hear it as
well.
Other people are excited to hear you speak. Then like, oh well, even if I screw up a little bit, it's still like I'm getting.
And they enjoy it. It's like sometimes like, oh, that wasn't as good. Like we're far too critical of ourselves. Like I don't feel like this one. I should have. I went when I should have gone. But the kids love it, and then in the end, like you can never be your own judge.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But going back to what they can do, or like what practices they can do to improve their English that are similar to what I might do.
Excellent.
For improving my craft is record yourself speaking English and listen to it, and play that back to some natural English speakers.
Sure.
So, and there are programs that help you pull audio from like YouTube, or you could just watch the YouTube video and then go back and forth. But another thing is and if like when you're recording, if you're worried like, oh, what am I going to say? What I do, I read things.
Sure.
Like there's endless things, newspapers, children's books,
sure.
Comics, all these. Like record yourself reading these, because it's like when you do karaoke.
Yeah.
Like I became a better singer by doing karaoke because I had the lyrics there.
Sure.
I didn't have. That was one less thing. I had to worry about.
Sure.
So and. This goes back into what I was talking about for people who want to practice,
sure,
either in Japanese or their native language or whatever. There is an online community called LibriVox, which means book voice.
Okay.
Book voice. And it's an online community that's trying to make or produce audiobooks that are in the public domain.
Oh, really?
So everything earlier than 1929.
Sure.
Or
old
something.
School
Yeah.
Sure.
So, but I mean, there's a lot of classics in there.
Yeah.
Like Oscar Wilde. What's another one? God, that's just the one that's
I don't even want to try to say a name. I'm getting
lots of poets and like Alice in Wonderland. And stuff like
sure.
But these are in all different languages, not just English.
Yeah.
And you can even do your own favorite work in another language.
Yeah.
But the point is that this community is open to everyone.
Sure.
And so if you're interested, it's LibriVox.org.
And this is just a completely free thing, and people
it's
can
completely
get on
free.
And can you meet other people to talk with, and like it's a community like that. Now, this is really interesting, and this is like a special treat for you. I've never heard of this either until just now. But this is the kind of thing that I always recommend for students. Like, don't look for specific English learning forums, because you're going to find people there that are probably of the same level as you. You're going to be nervous about them, like critiquing your speaking, that kind of thing. So find something that has nothing to do with English, but allows you to practice speaking, or meet other people that you can practice with. So
it's a wonderful community, because like if you don't know much about recording, they will take you through the steps to get you like to have a nice, clean, noise-free, loud enough sounding track. And they're not critical of style. They're not critical of accents or anything like that.
Really,
they will like if they can't understand you,
sure,
or if a pronunciation of a word is off, they might make a suggestion. But the whole point is to make you better. is not, it's not a stab at your ego.
Sure.
It's like,
yeah, well, I mean, you need that. That's important to help you improve and get better for sure. Mm-hmm. So basically, that's what you'd like to be doing. You'd like to be like.
I just want to be I want to do it professionally. Getting paid to do what I love. Like so many of us want to do. Like, because
can you do Arnold?
Get to the chopper. Get the chopper.
That's one of my favorites.
Yes,
I love to do Arnold.
I love the kindergarten cop ones. Oh,
it's not a tumor.
It's not a tumor.
It's not a tumor.
Tell me where your father is.
Anyway, we will leave it here for that though. But hopefully we will come back again. Lots of other things to discuss, but very interesting. Certainly, I learned a lot. And we will come back in just a moment with a special mission homework assignment. But it sounds like we've got an additional one for this month, an interesting resource people can use. And I hope you try that out and give you a little bit more information about that. But we'll say goodbye to Sean.
Goodbye, Sean.
Yeah. You want to leave some people with a few last like impressions or some of your favorite things. I don't want to put you on the spot. But.
Well, first of all, I just wanted to say that I hope you guys realize what a great resource this is. I just met this guy yesterday. He endeared himself upon me. That's another big word for this. Like, I really like him. He's cool.
I try. You know, some people we call it like clicking. You know, it's a chemistry kind of thing. It can be like with another, like a man and a man or a woman. You know, it just depends on people you get along with. You know, we got the same kind of. Look at us. We got the pair look going on. The same kind of shorts. You know. But anyway, well, you've given us enough voices then. But yeah, I appreciate that, and I learned a lot today.
Well, thank you very much. It was great.
We'll say bye-bye. And welcome to the special mission homework assignment for this month. I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Sean. You get to see his face. So he is now a member of this lovely program, and I'm really excited to have him recording lessons. And we've got lots of things planned. We want to get even more, lots of different people in the program so that you can listen to lots of different voices. One of the best things that you can do to improve your listening, but also to find your own voice, as I always say, is listening to the same thing said by many different people. So we'll be doing a lot more of that in the program coming soon. This month, I really want to help you improve your listening. So we talked a lot with Sean today about improving your voice and how he likes to practice and all of the repetition, the listening and reviewing and practicing that you need to do. It's the same thing with your voice. So I have one very specific assignment I'd like you to do to help you improve your listening, but also to help improve your focus. And this is find something you really want to listen to. It could be my voice, it could be a video from Master English Conversation, or a movie, or anything else. But what I want you to do is watch that or listen to that while you have 2 or 3 other things playing at the same time. Now, this is a very challenging assignment. It's very simple. All you have to do is listen to many different things, like 2 things or 3 things at the same time, and then see if you can focus on just the one thing you're listening to. Now, this will train you to be in regular conversations with people where you are sitting at a restaurant or another place where you've got many people talking. So you've got lots of English or lots of other languages coming into your ears, but you need to focus on that one particular thing. I do this sometimes. I know I have trouble listening on occasion. I'm getting much better at that, but even being an English speaker, I just have problems focusing because my mind is always thinking about many different things, or if I'm at a party, I'll be listening to what some other people are talking about while I'm, listening to this conversation with this person. So I really have to remind myself to focus on that. So one of the things I do is train myself to focus on one thing by playing, the news on one channel, or I'm, even on the computer. I will open up 3 or 4 different YouTube videos and focus on one of them at one time. So practice doing that. You can change the volume. You can begin with maybe just 2 different things. Start with one thing you want to watch and then have another video playing at the same time, but turn the volume down really soft. So it's just
kind of slightly there competing with the thing you're actually listening to. So give that a try this month. That is your special mission homework assignment for this month. You can always find more things to listen to, but really just take time, even listen to this video. Practice just watching the audio of something. Practice just watching the video. You can do lots of different things to compare, but really the whole point is just to train your listening and your focus. I hope you've enjoyed this month. It's been a fantastic time making it, and I really look forward to lots of fun things to come in the program. Have an excellent day, and I'll see you next month. Bye-bye.